At Englewood Health, we believe that all citizens need to be informed about the healthcare issues that affect their lives. That's why we're proud to support important healthcare programming produced by the Caucus Educational Corporation and their partners in public television. Funding for this edition of State of Affairs with Steve Adubato has been provided by NJIT, New Jersey Institute of Technology, the law firm of Gibbons, P.C., the Turrell Fund, supporting right from the start NJ, International Union of Operating Engineers, Local 825, the New Jersey Education Association, Keystone Mountain Lakes Regional Council of Carpenters. Your future is in our building. And by Englewood Health. Promotional support provided by NJ Advance Media and by Insider NJ.
Welcome to State of Affairs. I'm Steve Adubato. We are, in fact, coming to you from the NJTV studio. That's the Agnes Varus NJTV studio. Pleased to welcome Senator Steve Oroho, Republican from the 24th Legislative District. That would be Morris, Sussex, and Warren counties?
Yes, it is.
We've talked to you many times. Good to see you, Senator. Let's get into the fiscal. If you had to give New Jersey's fiscal state, our fiscal state, a grade, what would it be?
F.
Come on. That was too quick.
F.
Why?
No, well, I got to tell the truth, right? Because one of the things is this, New Jersey hasn't had real honest discussions about where the real state of the state is for many years. Now, our assets, I'll give it an A. But so can we get to an A? Absolutely. And we've been at an A within the last, call it 25 years.
Okay, last couple of years with Governor Murphy. His grade on the economy and the fiscal state of New Jersey. Don't say F again.
I won't say F.
No, you can say what you want.
No,
but
agreed. I'll give him. I tell you what. I'll give him a D plus.
What's wrong about it, and then we'll talk about what's right.
Well,
by the way, we'll give the governor an opportunity not just give himself a grade, but give the state a grade. We'll talk about his fiscal policies. We continue to work with the governor's team on trying to schedule that. Go ahead,
but also
Senator.
the F goes way back. It's not just this administration.
Democrats, Republicans?
Democrats, Republicans. You look right down the thing, Democrats, Republicans have, it's basically, that's the most bipartisan thing they've done, down in Trenton.
Is screw up our state finances?
Finances, because there wasn't an honest discussion of either what the debt levels were, or we've had the discussion about the Transportation Trust Fund.
Yep.
And we're having the same discussion, I'm sure we'll talk about it, but the pension and
Let's
healthcare.
get right into it.
Yeah.
In fact, we have Senate President Steve Sweeney. We're taping that program today as well. The Senate President is going to be talking about, quote, the Path to Progress report.
Right.
You were part of that.
I was.
What is that report, and why is it so relevant to the discussion we're having on the fiscal state of the state?
Well, first of all, Senator Sweeney had asked Senator Sarlo and myself.
Paul Sarlo, who will be right after this interview, he'll be coming in.
Is a good partner on it.
He's a Democrat, you're a Republican.
Correct. He's the chairman of the Senate Budget and Appropriations Committee, and I'm the Republican member on the Republican side. And what it was after, obviously, with the Tax Reform Act that had come out, the state and
excuse me, you would be referring to the Trump federal tax reform.
Trump federal reform
that would only limit our state deduction, income tax deduction, and our property tax deduction
to $10,000
to a gentleman that you supported for president. Yeah, 10 grand. In a state like New Jersey, that hurt us.
That did hurt us. But at the same time, is it something that we have to bring our costs into control? That would be the argument from that standpoint. And that's been on the plate for a long time.
Top recommendation.
Top recommendation is the 800-pound gorilla in the room happens to be the pension and health care costs.
Of public employees.
Of public employees. Now,
we're making progress, but go ahead.
We are small amounts. We're making progress. However, when you and it's not against the employees or anything like this. If you look back, I said Republicans and Democrats, administrations over the past 25 years, have basically it's been debt, spend, and hide. don't tell them about the situation. We won't make the contributions.
State contribution to the pension fund.
But or we'll take a pension holiday, and quite frankly, they take the pension holiday, and government said, well, it'll help property taxes.
By the way, be clear, a pension holiday is not a holiday. It means the government's not going to put any money into the pension fund.
Right.
That's called a holiday.
Yeah,
some holiday.
Well, that's how they talk about it in government, right? They're not putting money into the pension system, and they think, well, that'll help property taxes. All it did was get filled in with other programs. All it did was get filled in with other, quote-unquote, services that everybody thought was really important. Property taxes didn't go down. And so now we've been dug into a real deep hole. So, was it the employees' fault? There was, in the public unions, they acquiesced to many of these things. They went along with many of these actuarial changes, which we can put people to sleep talking about actuarial things.
The Communication Workers of America, who represent the largest number of state public employees, the New Jersey Education Association, an underwriter of public television, and what we do.
It wasn't really their members, yeah.
No, but they were part of this as well.
Sure.
They acquiesced, as you said, but you're saying it's not enough. None of this is enough. It's
not. Well, first of all, if you take a look at how much, just to get that to where we should be putting 100% into what the actuaries say we have another 3 years to go. It's another $3 to $4 billion.
Senator, let me ask you this. One of the areas that I know you want to talk about, and it's important to us as well, state school funding formula.
Right.
State provides dollars to public schools,
right,
which is based on a formula. That impacts local property taxes as well. You've now tied this to the school lunch program, and I don't get the connection.
Well, first of all, the school lunch program is run by the federal government, by the Department of Agriculture. They just want to feed hungry children, and we do too. The key to New Jersey is it connects to a major part of school funding. The free and reduced lunch program connects to what people would consider those are the at-risk students. All right.
Okay.
And the at-risk students will get anywhere to say $5,000 more per student in the formula itself. All right. So where maybe the lunch may cost $2. If a parent has signed up for the free and reduced lunch, that school system is probably going to get close to an additional $5,000 per student.
Where's the money going?
Well, what happens is many times, say in my district, many parents think that there's a stigma associated, there's a pride factor. They won't apply. But in other areas, parts of the state, you've seen it in Elizabeth, that we've just, a second time around.
We had a problem there.
We had a problem where people fraudulently applied. People who very know what the repercussions were, they applied, and their school was getting funding that they shouldn't have gotten.
But you make it sound like that's a widespread problem as opposed to an isolated situation in Elizabeth.
Well, it is. Well, we don't know. We don't know how big the problem is because here, and this is really the controller did a report and showed that it is significant. The state controller did a report a bunch of years ago and said it is definitely a problem. Now, by law, if you even find, you can only audit, and I'm a former auditor, 3% by federal law. So our recommendation, the Senate Republican recommendation is this: why don't we change it? We have no problem if there's at-risk or low-income student. Some of those are going to need additional money. Why don't you fund it based upon something that can't be manipulated?
Which is?
Which is Title I funding, which is based upon the census, as opposed to a parent's application or somebody else's application. So therefore, you still have the at-risk, but that's how you should fund it.
Before I let you out of here, you a fan of President Trump's?
I am. You look at the record. You look at the stock market. You look at the economy, and so I'm a financial advisor. That's what I do outside of the legislature. And when people have jobs, that's when they're.
The only other follow-up to that, respectfully, Senator, you've always come with a certain demeanor. You conduct yourself a certain way. You never involved in name calling. I don't even know if you're on Twitter. But the reality is this: the tone and tenor of our discourse in the country and how the president's contributed to it?
I don't like.
It's not the only one.
On many sides.
He's not the only one.
On many sides, that I don't like.
Don't say on many sides. That could be misinterpreted.
But
there are many people, but the president hasn't helped, in your view.
No, true. I mean, quite frankly, I like the way Ronald Reagan did it. You know, Ronald Reagan
was a gentleman all the time.
He was a gentleman, but he could tell somebody, you know,
yeah,
tell
I know
him to
where
go
you're
to
going.
hell
I know
and
where
look
you're
forward
going.
to the trip.
This is public television.
I know. Excuse me.
Always
sorry.
a gentleman. Senator Steve Oroho from the 24th District. I want to thank you for joining us on State of Affairs.
Thank you very much. My
well
pleasure.
done, Senator.
Thank you.
Stay with us. We'll be back with your colleague who you say you get along with,
I
but
do.
we'll find
Paul's a
out.
good friend.
Senator Paul Sarlo, right
and
after
Senator
this.
Sweeney, too.
Yes, we'll do that as well. We'll be right back.
To see more State of Affairs with Steve Adubato programs, visit us online at stateofaffairsnj.org. If you would like to express an opinion, email us at info@caucusnj.org. Find us on Facebook at facebook.com/Steve Adubato, PhD. And follow us on Twitter at Steve Adubato.
We're pleased to welcome State Senator Paul Sarlo, Deputy Majority Leader. Good to see you, Senator.
It's always great to be back with you, Steve.
Usually we talk about fiscal matters, and we will in just a moment, but do this. You have a background as an engineer?
Civil engineer.
You wrote a piece on NJ.com, Star Ledger, the print side. People can check it out. Here's one solution for Newark's lead-tainted water misery. Go.
Listen, this is just where I'm at on public infrastructure, water systems in particular. We have an aging infrastructure in New Jersey, and many of these are cash-strapped systems. Cities are cash-strapped. It's very easy for elected officials and others to put investments in surface improvements, parks, roadway paving, and the underground infrastructure gets pushed to the side.
Because you can't see it?
Can't see it. And that's no blame on anybody sitting in office today. This has been going on decades and decades, century-old problems. Newark is century-old problems. Clearly, I believe one solution for Newark would be to look at their assets. They have some of the best reservoirs. They have great reservoirs. They have great treatment plants, and they have an amazing system of transmission mains that bring water from the reservoirs to the distribution system. Their problem, their distribution system, is what's failing. It's the lead service pipes. The only way you're going to do this is to dig up streets and remove the lead service pipes.
Big money.
Big money, but use those assets, monetize those assets. Talk to private investors. Some of the best in the country are here in New Jersey. Allow them in. I know it's a politically tough decision, but it works in other parts of the country and it works in other parts of the state. It's a solution. They need to take a look at it.
I want to find out more about Senator Sarlo's guest commentary in the Star Ledger and NJ.com. Check it out. Fiscal matters. The public employee pension situation, is it a crisis as we speak today? And by the way, make sure you check out our interview with State Senate President Steve Sweeney on this issue as well. Go ahead. Is it a crisis?
So it's not a crisis as we sit here today, but clearly we need to address the pension problem here in the state of New Jersey. Our state, probably one of the worst in the country when it comes to, we've underfunded the pension system.
The state has contributed not enough money for a long period of time to the public employee pension situation.
Bipartisan, both sides
By
of
the
the
way,
aisle.
Senator Oroho, right before you said we call it a pension holiday. Where's the holiday? You're just not paying.
That's right. And it's a bipartisan problem over the years. Governor Christie started to put real money into it. Governor Murphy has put real money into it. Not enough. We need to look at the structure. How do we fix the structural problems associated with this pension system?
Give us one, by the way, not a solution, because there's no one.
There's no
one thing that will improve the situation.
Well, one of the things we need to look at new folks coming into the pension system. How do we work with them? How do we look at other options, whether it's 401k options or other options? How do we look to work with them? You need to continue to put money into the system. The state's got to pay their fair share, of course. But clearly we need to look at new folks coming into the system, other alternatives to overburdening this system. There's people who've worked very hard. We have first responders, although the police and fire are now in a separate system. But we've had state workers and teachers and others who worked very hard in the state. They deserve that pension. So it's also an obligation for us to ensure that pension remains whole. So do we have a crisis today? No. But Steve Sweeney is correct. We all need to work in a bipartisan manner to find multiple solutions of how do we fix this.
The other part of that, the public employee healthcare situation, health costs. Why, help us understand this, why are healthcare costs potentially going down? What is being done in that regard?
So healthcare costs, probably the biggest driver of our budget. I've been on the budget committee now almost 20 years.
You haven't been on, excuse me, he's been the chairman. I was remiss. Senator Sarlo is the chair of the Senate Budget Committee. Go ahead.
I've been the chairman now for 9+ years, and every year when you look at the budget, the first thing that glares at you is the cost of healthcare here in the state of New Jersey. to Senator President Sweeney, to Governor Murphy, credit, we've started to look at ways. The Speaker as well has just recently come out.
Speaker Coughlin.
Speaker Coughlin has recently come out with some ideas of how to reduce the cost of health care. It has to be a compromise both on the employer side, the state government side, as well as the employee side. We do have some very rich Cadillac health plans that are out there that perhaps we need to take a look at. And I also put a little bit on Horizon, Blue Cross, Blue Shield. They need to work and step up as well. A cost of a health care plan for a public employee in this state of New Jersey could be as high as $35,000. That is outrageous, quite frankly. There needs to be a way. We need to find the way to reduce the cost of a health care plan for our public employees. And you could do it without reducing their coverage. That's the most important, is without reducing their coverage. There are ways to do this, but it's going to take some people sitting at a table and working this out.
Since you mentioned Horizon, let's clarify this. Horizon is a big supporter, a significant supporter of NJTV News, as well as our production operation at the Caucus Educational Corporation, and we will ensure that we give them an opportunity to share their perspective on this as well.
And listen, they've been great too. They've stepped up. These latest savings, we've worked with them on different ways, including something that I recently sponsored, a third-party administrator. I worked very closely with their folks, doing some additional audits. So Horizon has begun to step up, and that's important.
Let me try this. Governor Murphy has argued that one of the keys to the fiscal health of the state and to provide tax fairness, I believe he refers to it as. You and I have talked about this before, increasing taxes on the wealthiest people in the state. Once you earn $1 million, every dollar after $1 million is taxed. You and your colleagues, the Democrats, have stopped this. Republicans are against it by and large, but the Democrats control the House, the Senate, and the governorship. Why isn't that being done?
Listen, taxes should always be used as a last resort. Right? I think that's...
The governor says it's time for a last resort.
Right. Well, I don't believe we're there right now. Revenues revenues, quite frankly, are strong. We're hitting our targets in the current fiscal year. We hit our targets last year. Will there be a correction? I believe our economy right now is on a major increase, and I think there will be a correction, especially with the presidential election coming up.
What does that have to do with it?
Are we going to go to a recession? No. But are we going to go to a correction? Yeah, I think the president and our folks in Congress are giving us a much more rosier picture than our economy really is. So, with that being said, will there be a correction? Yes. Secondly, though, here in New Jersey, I don't think we should pull the millionaire's tax right this moment. It has to come at a point where we are in a crisis. First, reforms on the pension system, reduce the cost of a health care plan, and then if we need that as the final step, that's what we should do. It's a combination of the three. Yeah. You just can't raise the revenues without reducing the cost of a health care plan and working with our friends. I'm a big supporter of our public unions, working with our friends in the public unions on how we could help reform the pension system.
30 seconds on this. You understand municipal government more than most because of your background as?
I'm still the mayor of the borough of Woodridge.
So here's my question.
A great town, by the way.
Thank you for getting that plug in, but here's the question. What about those who say one of the other ways to save money is to force consolidation, the mergers of different communities that are small? You say?
Well, listen, we've talked about that. We're a big home rule state in New Jersey. Some towns do it better than others. We are doing a lot more shared services than you really believe at the local level.
But that doesn't require merging, you're saying?
Listen, there's a lot more mergers we could do at the local level. There's no doubt about it. But
home rule ain't cheap.
Home rule is not cheap. I will tell you that. There are towns who do it better than others. Woodridge is one of them.
Boy, you're big on getting that plug in. Senator Paul Sarlo, who's the Deputy Majority Leader, also the chair of the Senate Budget Committee. They're dealing with a lot of dollars and cents issues that affect all of us. Thank you, Senator. Stay right there. We'll be right back on State of Affairs from the Agnes Varus NJTV studio right after this.
To see more State of Affairs with Steve Adubato programs, visit us online at stateofaffairsnj.org. If you would like to express an opinion, email us at info@caucusnj.org. Find us on Facebook at facebook.com/Steve Adubato, PhD. And follow us on Twitter at Steve Adubato.
We are pleased to welcome Linda Bowden, who is New Jersey Regional President, PNC Bank and also the chairwoman of New Jersey Chamber of Commerce. Good to see you, Linda.
You too, Steve, always.
Make it clear what the Chamber's role is.
The Chamber's role, put very simply, is to ensure that the business environment in New Jersey is friendly, that there's a vital economy that indeed is able to enhance the business person's success.
What's standing in the way of the state being more, quote, business friendly?
You know, I think all states have issues, certainly, and New Jersey's not alone. Obviously, people talk about taxes. There's no question that we are one of the higher tax states. That does put a burden on our businesses, especially small business. But what I would say is, and the governor has said this repeatedly, if you're a single-issue voter, if taxes are the only thing you care about, maybe we're not necessarily the state for you, but we feel as a state there are many other things we can offer from a business perspective. The second thing I would say is workforce development. You know,
What does that mean?
Well, you know, Steve, being part of PNC Bank, we have many middle market customers, and that really is the bread and butter of our state. And when you go out and talk to these folks, they will tell you that one of their greatest challenges is not finding people, but finding people with the specific skills needed for their business. So what we're trying to do, and I know the governor's leading this, Tom Bracken, our president.
Tom Bracken, president of the State Chamber.
Of the State Chamber, Michelle Sekurka from NJBIA. We've got some wonderful business leaders. What we're working hard to do is to ensure that there's a strong partnership between business and higher ed, so that our universities, our county colleges in particular, have the kinds of programs that will allow people to graduate with the kinds of skills our business people need. And if I could give you an example.
Sure.
I was just with one of our customers, really maybe 2 months ago, and they do clips for machinery. Huge business with this, 800 employees in the state of New Jersey, clearly a business we want to keep here. And I asked him point blank, how are you finding doing business here? What are the challenges? What are the good things? Obviously, accessibility in the state is a big positive. People find this a very easy place to do business.
Location matters.
Location matters, transportation hub, et cetera. The thing that this CEO mentioned more than anything, he said, I can't find the kind of skilled labor I need to hire. I know there are people out there to hire, but I need very specific skills. And if the state could help me in training these people so they can come right on, there's less of a ramp-up time, that would be huge for us. So I think that's a way we can differentiate ourselves.
I'm curious about this. By the way, PNC, an initiative, Grow Up Great.
Yes.
That we collaborate with. Focused on, let everybody know what Grow Up Great all stands. It's not just a slogan.
It's Grow Up Great, helping children 5 and under to grow up great. So we work hard to try and give them a head start so that, and this does have business implications, so they can grow up and be productive, contributing members of our community here in New Jersey.
Absolutely. Let me ask you this, Linda. Do you ever notice how people are divided in this sense? Many people, not all, but they get focused on, are you for big business or against business? As if
it's mutually exclusive.
Well, also as if business are not employing people. Go ahead.
Yeah. No, I think you're right. I think there are some circles where big business has become sort of a dirty word, but if you think about it and you strip this down to the bare essentials, it's all about the jobs. It's all about the jobs here in this state. We want to keep people, we want to attract people.
And we want them paying taxes on the income they're making with those jobs.
Absolutely. So if you think about it, it can be a very productive cycle. We bring people in, give them jobs, they're paying taxes. That allows us to contribute to infrastructure, workforce development, and so forth.
Let me shift gears in the time we have left. You were on our radio show on AM 970. We have a Leadership Hour radio show in which Linda talked about leadership and a range of issues. I asked you that there, I'm going to ask you it here. Being a great leader for a woman, in your view, any more challenging, difficult, different for a guy?
Steve, you and I have talked over the past 10 years about this topic, and
I still struggle with it.
I know, that's okay. I think, first of all, banking is a good field for women. But let's face it, you look at the Fortune 500 companies, there are still very few women at the top. And that number, with Denise of Campbell Soup, with Denise Morris and her departure, that number went down even more. So we still have a ways to go, whether it's head of company, whether it's board membership, whether it's just being a very senior advisor. So I think if you ask me, what's the differentiator? How can women get ahead? I do think women bring a certain collaborative sense to the leadership role. And, you know, studies are showing now that one of the most important aspects of being a leader is empathy. Now, we didn't have that out there years ago, but empathy, understanding what your employees are going through, ensuring that you're listening to your employees. You know, I've said to you several times, I'm a believer in values flowing down and ideas flowing up. We as leaders set the tone. We really put the value set in place. We model that behavior, but you have to be open to ideas bubbling up, and that's the way you can get better. Diversity is another aspect, obviously.
More sensitive to the need for it?
I don't know that, because I certainly work with many men who are very sensitive to it, but let's face it, we are diverse candidates. Women right now are still diverse candidates, so maybe we can be a little bit more sensitive to what it's like to be the only one in the room, what it's like to not necessarily have other people who look like you there. So I think the more we can do to ensure that there's diversity across gender, race, thought, you know, that ethnicity, the better off we'll be.
Leadership and empathy, very much linked together. Linda Bowden is not just the New Jersey Regional President of PNC Bank, she's also the chairwoman of the New Jersey Chamber of Commerce. I want to thank you, Linda, for joining us.
Thank you, Steve,
well
as
done.
always. Take care.
This is State of Affairs. We want to continue the conversation, so please check me out, our whole team out, at Steve Adubato. We'll keep the conversation going, and hopefully we'll see you next week.
State of Affairs with Steve Adubato is a production of the Caucus Educational Corporation, celebrating over 30 years of broadcast excellence. Funding for this edition of State of Affairs with Steve Adubato has been provided by NJIT, the law firm of Gibbons, P.C., the Turrell Fund, supporting right from the start NJ, International Union of Operating Engineers, Local 825, the New Jersey Education Association, Keystone Mountain Lakes Regional Council of Carpenters, Englewood Health, and by these public-spirited organizations, individuals, and associations committed to informing New Jersey citizens about the important issues facing the Garden State, and by Employers Association of New Jersey. Promotional support provided by NJ Advance Media and by Insider NJ.
It feels like I've opened my eyes again, and the colors are golden and bright again. There's a song in my heart, I feel like I belong. It's a better place since you came along. It's a better place since